I'm a little dumb and I forgot to make an intro to this video, so you could skip to the end if you want to see why I just cried. I'm emotional. I have a lot of feelings. Too many feelings. We're going to get into the story of Chad2Dad on TikTok. If you don't know who that is, again, I'm so sorry for introducing you to these people. He is in the middle of a separation and this is all happening in the last week. There are some things that we're not going to get into, just like everything else. I'm going to set some ground rules. We're not going to talk about the passing of his mother because that just happened. But we're going to talk about the things around that, including his, and I call her a child, she's 20, but she is a child compared to how old he is, his wife. His wife separating, his wife leaving, his wife celebrating Christmas with their kids without him, although it's his fault and we'll get more into that. We're going to get into the story of him importing the object that he calls his wife, who I think is a child.
Well, it didn't take long. It only took 2 years, literally to the day, December 27th, for my Filipino wife to become fully Americanized, hate everything about me and what I provide, and decide to leave. Yeah.
This is a story where we've seen a lot of, if you're anything like me and watch way too much 90 Day Fiance. And it gives you a good idea into who some of these people are and how they think. By the way that he says, my wife hates everything I provide, it makes me feel, and we'll learn a lot more about him in a minute, but it makes me feel like he is saying, I gave you housing, I give you food, I make sure that you get to go places and have experiences. I provide that monetary value for you, so you need to do everything else that goes into our relationship. And I think money is such an important part of a relationship, but if what you want is someone to love you because you're going to throw money at them, you can find that online pretty easily. You can find someone young and willing to fake it for a few $100s a day. You don't need to go to the Philippines and find someone 22 years younger than you. Start a family with them. Promise them a million things you're probably not going to do emotionally, and then just say, well, I provide money. And that should be enough.
Welcome to the shittiest post that I'm ever going to make. There's a lot to it, and I'm not going to go into it, okay? But suffice to say, after providing and going on the Disney World trip, which included the funeral for my mom, I got up to day 6, I think, on that, because it all broke down at Magic Kingdom. Fucking ironic. And I didn't post anything after that because when we got back from Orlando to St. Simons, Georgia, I was greeted with the announcement from Jayanne that she wanted a separation.
If we haven't been able to put together by now, Jayanne is Chad2Dad's wife, Filipino wife, who he picked up when she was very, very young. I don't know how long they've been together. I can't remember if she was 22 when they got married or she's 22 now. And I know it's only a 2-year difference, but I'm going to say it's a lot different marrying a 20-year-old than it is marrying a 22-year-old. I just have a big feeling there. I don't think it's a lot different for him since he's very much on the older side and probably shouldn't be near either of them. He's more than double her age, but that's not my business, I guess.
And then I discovered through text that she had been discussing this with her family and making plans to also take the children. So, that's heavy, right? That's a nuke. And I'm going to go into my bunker. So I came downstairs in my nice 4-story mansion and just stayed by myself through Christmas Eve and through Christmas Day.
If we didn't know his wife was 20, I think it'd be really easy to feel bad for him. Because the story here goes, we were on vacation. We spent a week at Disney World. That included the funeral for my mother. We come back home and my wife is telling me she's leaving with the kids and has this planned out with her parents. It's really easy to feel bad for the guy. And if I didn't know how old she was, and that's all the information I had, I probably would feel pretty bad for him. But brother, one of the hashtags on your video is gold digger. And we're not there yet, but he's going to go into talking about why men, specifically American men, want to go to places like the Philippines and find a woman, a girl, that they can provide for and bring them back to the United States. Again, we're not there yet, but I have no sympathy for someone who speaks of their wife like they're a predator. The comments on this video very much just going to back up my points. I love that his first wife is probably watching this on repeat with her feet up and a glass of wine. Merry Christmas to her. My dad said the same thing about my mom. I did this for her. I bought this for her. But he was an awful partner. Just because you paid for things doesn't mean you gave her what she really needed. And that's something that so many of these people, and we have real world examples, just don't understand. If your primary contribution, your only contribution to a partnership is money, that's not really a partnership. So many of these people don't need to be showered in 6-figure handbags or cars or even a 4-story mansion that he just happened to mention that he had. So many of these people just want to be loved as hard as they love. The money doesn't hurt. And we have so many examples of people bringing people over for 90 Day Fiance under false pretenses of money, like Gino and Jasmine, where Gino makes it seem like Jasmine is going to have a much more luxurious life than she is in the United States. And then when she gets there, not only does he refuse to pay for a lot of little things, but also he just kind of refuses to love her in the way that she wants to be loved. And every time she's given a close-up and crying, it's about how she isn't being touched by him, isn't being loved by him, isn't being cared for kindly by him. And the money is always just secondary.
And I missed Christmas with my children. My in-laws, my mother and my father-in-law, and Jayanne, they proceeded to open the presents without me. Presents of which, all of which I bought. Yeah, the separation is a separation. I'm lucky enough to have a big house, and the logistics of it can be met right away, but I spent Christmas utterly by myself. And it's coming up on New Year's Eve, and I'm still alone. Because there's no communication from her. Why? Because she's communicating with her parents. She has the total backing and validation of her parents. Plus TikTok.
I'm going to assume that parents are typically going to side with their children, whether or not their children are right. And I'm going to leave that there. You probably should. In this case, you should keep your children in check. Whereas if they say something that may be wrong, you kind of go, hey, but what about? But if your children are going through a divorce, you probably just want to take care of them and help them get through that. But TikTok, for the most part, is going to be brutally honest with you. And if you come on a TikTok talking about how your child bride is leaving you, yeah, you're going to get criticized pretty hard, dog. Most of us are a lot closer to her age than yours. We're going to get on age talk real quick. I make a lot of old people jokes. They're jokes, really. Like, I call myself an old man, and that's a lot easier to notice on stream because it doesn't get cut out, because that's live and that gets cut out for the videos. I'm an old man. I'm old. I'm tired. I'm broken. My neck hurts. And so I always say, I'm old. If you're older than me, you're also old. That's it. That's all it is. I don't hate old people. Not all of them. This dude, sure. Don, Jimmy Carter. I'm joking. I was born in 97. I don't know anything about Jimmy Carter. I know nothing about the man. I know that he built houses.
All external sources of validation, and it's my position, my feelings are not relevant. She's got it figured out. She's got a plan. I'm waiting to hear what the plan is, and we'll see what happens from that point. But
I'm going to be very honest. If all the information I have is a 22-year-old divorcing a 60-year-old, I'm going to guess, all right, I think he's a little older. I think he's a slightly bit older, but I'm going to guess 60, and we're going to leave it there until he says his age. If a 22-year-old and a 60-year-old are getting divorced without any more information, I'm on the 22-year-old side. I don't see a way for a 60-year-old and a 20-year-old to be in a relationship without it being predatory. And you may think differently because you're in that relationship, your parents were in that relationship, your grandparents were in that relationship. Oh, no, it's not weird. My dad and my mom met when he was 30 and she was 14. No, it's weird. You're just around it. It's like the families who kiss each other on the lips. Not my business. I think it's weird. A lot of people don't because they grew up kissing their aunts on the lips. Not my thing.
I'm pretty, I'm at peace with what has occurred, what could occur. I am done being Mr. Fix-It. Fix-It Felix. I'm not going to be the simp, nice guy, Fix-It Felix anymore. A relationship takes two people. She made the decision for the separation. She's made the announcement and made plans with family to take our children back to the Philippines.
Relationship takes two people. This is not new news. He's right. A parental one where you also just kind of get to sleep with somebody doesn't, because that's kind of what these turn into, right? Here's Mark and his 19-year-old fiance from the Philippines.
You're putting fingerprints on my windows?
It's not allowed?
It's not allowed. No, that was one of the rules when my children were...
Really?
They never touch the window.
So that's Nikki, the 19-year-old Filipino who flies into the United States to be with her 61-year-old fiance, who treats her like one of his kids. He flies her over and expects her to follow every single rule of his house like his children would. That's a relationship that is then put between them. He explains that he already had a wife from the Philippines, they had a bunch of children, and that didn't work out. So instead of finding someone his own age, he went back to the Philippines to find a teenager. Surprise, that one also doesn't work out. And the entire internet's like, dude, she's not your kid, she's your fiance, albeit a child, but still your fiance. Treat her like your partner, not like your kid. Here are all the rules that you have to follow because my children have to follow. So if that's the genre of American that you are, because there's a lot of them, if you're flying young women from the Philippines to the United States, for them to be basically your children who happen to sleep with you and bear your children, that's gross to me, and I hope that they all divorce you. These are also the same men that complain about immigrants.
She's an adult. She has accountability. It's on her to come to me and explain to me what her plan is, such that it is, and what can be done about it. So, surprise, no more countdown with the great fun in Disney World. It was a fucking disaster. And, you know, that's the truth. Social media is not about the truth, but I'm about the truth, so that's what I give you. Thanks.
There is a level of like, yeah, of course, she should tell him what's going to happen. She unfortunately does have his children, so there has to be some transparency there. But how much of an adult is someone who is just of adult age, whose prefrontal cortex is not yet developed? Like at 20, 21, 22, have an honest conversation with me. Aside from your trauma, how much of an adult were you? Because I wasn't. I had a lot more insight, I guess, than a lot of people my age, just based on the way that I was raised, or I guess not raised. But I was not good at so many things that I should have been. And then the people around me were. I had the emotional maturity of a child. And I was. At 20, like I was on my own, paying bills, working, going to school, but very much still a child. When I look at 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds now, I'm like, oh, that's a kid. I can't imagine being attracted to one of these people. I can't. They're so young. So you want me to feel bad for you because your child bride left you? I don't. It's bad timing, right? You could say, oh, how could they do this during my mom's funeral? But there's never going to be a good time to break up with someone. There's never going to be a good time to file for divorce. There's never going to be a good time, so you just have to do it. And again, I'm not blaming the 20-year-old in this situation. I don't know how old his first wife is, but if she's his age and that didn't work out, I don't know why reaching for a child he thought would be any different.
Woke up this morning to almost 1,400 comments on my last post about my wife requesting a separation. And the only thing I'm going to say about that right now, and not get into any details, although I know you all want to, hear more of the story, is that the reason I went public with what's going on. And I did that because I believe in this situation, transparency is the most important thing. I think it's the most important thing in any problem. Just be honest. Now, we've gotten to this point because there's been a little bit of dishonesty from Jayanne in the form of texting with her family and people behind my back.
I was gonna flip over to the comments to talk about something entirely different, and then that last line hit me. Texting with her family behind my back should never be a thing that you say to anyone. Oh, you're texting your family behind my back. I get that those messages may have not been your favorite thing, but there is no place for you between your spouse and they're private messaging to their family. Those messages don't have to go through you, whatever they are. Hey, happy holidays. Hey, you guys want to fly over? Hey, love ya. Whatever those messages are. Hey, want to get a divorce? Hey, would you guys be okay with me, coming back to the Philippines? Whatever those messages are, whether or not they hurt your feelings, have nothing to do with you. And now we're getting glimpses into why she may have left. If you are trying to control anyone's communication, you're controlling. And that comes all the way back to him treating her like a child. Whose messages do you look at, right? Like your kids. You want to make sure that they're safe. Your spouse is an adult. Those are your words. She's an adult. Give her the freedom to be one, which includes not meddling in their texts and not expecting to be a middleman between the messages between your spouse and their family.
Discussing things that she really should have just come to me with first.
Discussing things that she should have come to me with first is a bit of a side note. I understand feeling like you should be the first person your spouse talks to in most situations. However, there's a level of comfort there. The person you're marrying should be comfortable enough with you to talk about those things. You shouldn't marry someone who does not communicate with you. Now, in her situation, she's a 20-year-old divorcing a 60-year-old. Yeah, no, obviously she's not going to want to talk to him about it.
That was our agreement from the beginning of our relationship.
I'm pausing this so much more than I meant to, but that's such a weird clause. Here's a little asterisk in our marriage license. By the way, if you ever have an issue with me, you bring it up to me and only me. I am the HR of this house, and HR is not here for you. It's here for the company. No, brother.
Struggled with it, and that deal was broken. And so I'm not talking to anybody behind her back. I'm talking about our problem to the world, so that there's no mistake that I am sincere and authentic in everything that I think and feel. I may not be right, and I'm probably not right in a lot of cases along the path that has gotten to this point.
This sounds like a very common technique that people do, is like, oh, I'm not right in everything. Like, especially that, like, maybe I messed up along the way, but you can't talk about mistakes within a situation, which in and of itself as a whole is a mistake. It's probably the opposite. There are probably a lot of good things that came out of your relationship along the way, but the relationship as a whole is a mistake. Again, maybe I'm a little bit of a hater, but you won't convince me that a 60-year-old and a 20-year-old should ever be together romantically. Now, there are probably moments within the relationship, a lot of happy moments for both of them, including their children, that they're not going to regret. I get that, but the relationship as a whole should have never started. So it's the opposite. It's the opposite. There were not mistakes made along the way. It was a mistake in the first place.
To admit my mistakes, where I'm somewhat the bad guy. But overall, transparency is the key. And this is the new digital age we live in. This is a form of communication. Jayan and I are not talking. And maybe it'll make things worse. Maybe it'll make things better. I don't know. But at this point, I just want a way forward without me making unilateral decisions and pulling triggers. Right? So stay tuned, because I would love nothing more than for Jayan to come online with me and say what she wants, to, tell us her plan, right? To see where this can be fixed, if it's fixable at all.
An unfortunate part of this is that we don't hear from Jayan at all. We don't know if she needs monetary help getting back to the Philippines. We don't know if she's looking for a reason to stay. We don't know if what she wants is just to get her kids and get out. And we're going to go through the lens of what we know, and that is 90 Day Fiance. A lot of the time when these women leave, they're not trying to leave with a lot of money. The money in the United States was an extra to them. And the main point of coming to the US was to be loved by somebody that they loved. And it just doesn't work out. And so they go back to the Philippines. And we could specifically say the Philippines because of how many of these like old white American men with very, very young Filipino women there are on 90 Day Fiance. Big Ed's first victim on 90 Day Fiance was a 19-year-old from the Philippines, and she went back and ended up in a relationship with a woman. It wasn't about being in the US. It wasn't about money. It was about thinking that she loved Ed, and it turns out she didn't. And if what his wife wants after having his kids and being in the United States and living in his 4-story mansion is to go back to the Philippines and just raise her children with her parents, yeah, cool. Her life, for whatever reason here, did not work out the way that she wanted to. And we can assume that by his comments, people that know his videos a lot better than I do, maybe it was just him saying, I am a videographer and a source of income, and that is it. I cannot take care of you emotionally. But that's just what I've gathered from the comments.
Honesty and authenticity. That's all I want. Thanks.
You wanted to control her communication with her family. Run, Jayan. Yep, Team Jayan. I'm so happy for her. Her story starts now. Be free, mama. Now we don't need details. We have it figured out. Dude, after watching your story, I saw your other videos and I thought your wife was actually your daughter when I saw the first time. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like that is... Yes, I'm so excited for her. I'm glad that the comment section is supportive of her. She should have the freedom to communicate with her family. You can't isolate her. So transparency is most important, but you won't go into details. Let me be completely transparent, but not tell you anything I did wrong. She has to tell him when she texts her family. Yeah, God bless the child. Her life will now be infinitely better. I'm glad that we're all like agreeing that this is very much a child. All right, Chad to Dad, prove me wrong. Take off those glasses.
It's the morning of New Year's Eve. Tomorrow will be 2025. And Jayan and I, we still haven't spoken. But last night I saw Race and Rocky after an appointment. I brought home McDonald's and I just put it on the counter and I sat on the living room couch. And Race came down first. I didn't even know he was where he was. I didn't even know he was behind me. He came up behind me on the couch and just tapped me on the shoulder. And then Rocky came down the stairs. And she shouted, "Papa!" and bounced down. Both of them climbed up on the couch with me and just started jabbering away.
I read a couple of the comments to this video, so I have a feeling I know what's coming up. But before we get there, for whatever reason, this man's relationship did not work out. And we can villainize him, we can victimize her, whatever. We have to stop for a second. There are real people who are going to be affected by this, including their children. And if your life with your wife did not work out, I hope that you are willing to be a good father to your kids aside from them. Because we live in a world where we have seen too many times. The father just says, all right, not my business. And sometimes they come back to 90 Day Fiance and they're like, oh, I want to see my kids, but I can't stand her. Oh, I want to see my kids, but she won't let me. And they all have excuses, but they don't ever really try. I hope you try, and I hope you're a good father. Because as much as I want to sit here and make fun of this man, and I am, and I will, because I also would have left my dad in this situation, I hope that he is and continues to be a good father.
It's been a week since I'd seen him. And I moved him to the kitchen counter and I busted out the French fries and the McNuggets and they gobbled it up. I had texted Jayan that I was going to be bringing home McDonald's for the kids, and she gave a thumbs up to that, so all was good. And then after they wolfed down the more fries, Rocky said, up, which means she wanted to get down from the stool. And then she...
Also, again, I read the comments a couple before I opened the video. So you're telling me this man is about to fake cry? If you're going to cry on camera, you have to, make it real. Or at least fake it good.
She took my hand and she led me to the living room where we have a big movie screen. And she jumped up on the lazy boy and Race joined us munching on more nuggets. And I put on Monsters, Inc. and we watched a movie for about 45 minutes. And Rocky got tired and she scrambled back upstairs. And Ray stayed with me until he fell asleep. So I carried him up and I put him down against Jayan's back, and I left them together so they could sleep, and I came back downstairs. Of all the comments that I've received on the last video that I did, the ones that stand out are the people saying that I neglected my children on Christmas. I didn't neglect them. My staying away, my staying downstairs is to honor the separation. But it's also for everyone to see what that means, what that separation means. It was intentional. And I am heartbroken by it.
That part's a little strange. You're making a statement by not spending time with your kids. You're saying to your separated wife, look what you're doing. This is your fault. That your kids do not have a father for Christmas is what that comes across as.
But the stakes are high, and everyone needs to act with intention and clarity. So that's an update. Thank you.
I don't know. The fake crying's a lot for me. We're gonna come over here real quick. And scene. I know a narcissist when I see one, dealt with one for a decade, and you get out. Once you get out, all becomes clear. Hope she's safe. Oh, the theatrics. Not a tear fell. Sir, they're upstairs. I would like to thank the Academy. Yeah, we're all under the same impression. Hope Jan lives her best life. So you're living in the same house, and it sounds like she's not stopping you from seeing the kids. Why has it been a week is a really good point. And again, it comes back to what he just said, right? He's making a statement. He's making a point. You can't leave me, otherwise your kids are going to be fatherless. And this man is not without some sort of sympathy, right? Because this is not a unique case. This is going to happen. So you're going to have people, rightfully, they should be allowed to say this. Say something like, sorry, bruh. Been there with the divorce, living in the same house, at Christmas, put the kids first. Be there when they open gifts. If you truly want your family together, admit your issues, seek therapy. That's just, yeah, there you go. Like, as much as like me and a lot of these comments are going to sit here and just make fun of the man, here's an actual helpful comment. You were right. My husband of 42 years and I are separated in the same house. I still prepare dinner and he does chores and shopping. Holidays he goes to the grandkids. They only know us. Together, it's all done out of respect for each other. Not in love anymore, but still love the person. We'll be living separately soon. I'm of the belief that you should be a parent before you're a spouse. And I think whatever created me every day that I do not want children. I'm going to live my life loving my person as much as I possibly can and not worrying about loving anyone else. But when you have kids, you have to put them first. And doing something like, hey, I'm not going to go up there for a core memory of theirs to make a statement is stupid. And it's probably why they don't want you up there in the first place. Can I make fun of this man for having a big forehead? Is that okay? Because like I have a big forehead, right? So it's like friendly, unfriendly fire. Does that count? Is my forehead really that big? It's a forehead, right? Like my girlfriend could do this. She's got a 5 head, but it's because she's smart. She got a lot of brain back there.
I've been separated from my wife, Filipina, that I imported because I was a passport bro.
That's gross, right? We can admit, we could all like agree, whatever side of this you're on, we can agree that that was gross. Imported my wife because I was a passport bro. Maybe don't talk about your child wife like she's an object. Also, that's how you know I'm old. I'm one of us. I'm one of the old people. It's 2025. Happy New Year, by the way. And I'm still whipping. I never figured out how to do the nay-nay, though. I can't do it. That's beyond me, all right? Like, I can pretend to be young. I can't actually be young.
We have 2 children. They're my children. Don't question the DNA. And we recently had a big problem, you know. I tried to do the grand thing with a big family trip. Brought her parents over here, and that connected my wife to her parents. And the family bond to the Filipinos is the most important thing. it bothered me, so I insulted my wife's parents, and that pissed
It bothered me, so I insulted my wife's parents. You're too old to be doing that.
her off to the point where she said she wanted a separation. Now, she walked that back. Go watch her TikToks. But that's how emotional she was about it.
She has a TikTok? If you made it this far, let me know if you want me to go watch her TikToks, if I can find them. And I will make another video.
Whoa, it's going off. It's been a bad week. And I thought that this whole thing would culminate in he said, she said, and both of us getting a chance to tell our own stories. But that's all been wiped out by the fact that Jayanne is pregnant.
Oh no.
Yeah, she got pregnant on Thanksgiving 2024. She's 5 weeks pregnant, so, it's fuck it all. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a family man. I'm stepping it up. I'm stepping it up to be there in the most crucial way that she needed most after I dissed her family, cut her off. She's got me. I'm not letting her down. 3 children. I fucking need it. My legacy is set. For that, she gets my total devotion and support. I've been here running her live.
That sucks. So she's pregnant. Sounds like she's just stuck with the man. If you've watched a lot of my prior videos, somehow, some way, in almost every video, we fall into this conversation about the way that you should protect your partner from your parents, right? If I, for whatever reason, am around my partner's parents and they start going off about being like anti-Mexican, whatever, I expect her to be able to go, hey, shut up. In whatever way she wants to do that. I do expect that of her, as I believe she should expect that of me. That's a little different when you're older than her parents, don't you think? That's a little different when she's 20, her parents are younger than you, and you're mad that she's close to her parents, so you start issues. That's an entirely separate thing, and I am so far on the side against this man. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'm so sad that she is pregnant and now is probably going to be stuck with this man. That sucks. I don't want to finish. If I cry, he's going to see this and go, oh, I should have done it like that. Well, that just sucks to be 20 with 3 children with someone you shouldn't be with who does not respect you, your culture, or your parents. He talks about her like an object. I'm going to end it here. There's so many more videos from him. And if you want to go part 2, we will. We absolutely will. But I personally cannot stomach this man. So I'm going to go make more copy and edit this video. If you got this far, thank you so much for watching. 2024 was the hardest year for me to start in a very long time. And I have too many feelings and too many emotions. And if I talk too much about it, you'll see that. So I'm going to try and go fast. 2024 got off to the hardest. 2023 was the hardest year for me as an adult. And that leaked itself over into 2024. And at the beginning of the year, I just felt so lost and alone, and I was. And I had a massive breakdown and changed my entire life completely, not necessarily for the better, around March. And the life I have now has such wonderful peaks. And I am so grateful to have so many people in my life, online and in person, who care about me in the ways that I care about them and the ways that I've been asking to be cared about for a long time. So thank you. I'm recording this on the 1st of January. It'll probably go out today. Happy New Year. I am so sad, and I feel a little guilty to say that this is the first time in my life where I've been excited to start a new year. And I'm still not necessarily in the place I want to be, but I'm working towards it, and I can see it starting to put itself together. And I have never in my life sat down and said that I am proud of myself, and I won't today. But I'm getting closer. Thank you all for spending this time with me, for being the people that you are to me. This is so stupid. Thank you. All right, get out of here. Go. I need 20 seconds because I need to be able to put the panels up. So I'm just gonna sit here awkwardly and stare at you.